As the kind lady said, a recording is in progress. Okay. Let's jump into it here. So welcome. Happy New Year. It's January 17th, 2023. At the neighborhood association meeting. So ground rules, as always, if you have questions, please enter your questions into the chat. If you're attending in person, kindly raise your hand to speak so we can provide the mic. Kindly ask for no interruptions and behave with common courtesy. Today's agenda includes a crime and safety report from Officer Walker. There we go, ward updates from Alderperson Peel. We'll have some neighborhood updates from Ron Coleman, treasurer's report, and then some community news and updates, including recent activity from the preservation board, upcoming events, possible upcoming speakers, and some new businesses around the neighborhood. I will turn it over to Officer Walker, and Officer Walker can take us through her crime and safety report.
Hello, everyone. How's it going tonight? I am talking to you guys from the car. I have my vax card. I've been in and out the office all day. Currently sitting on a QT lot. From here, I'll be going to a second meeting. But for us, you guys, crime in your neighborhood, you guys will have quite a few car break-ins first. A lot of car thefts going on. I mean, larcenies going on from the vehicles. And a lot of that is coming from, again, the people visiting the bars along Manchester. So a lot of cars are being broken in on Manchester, and then we're noticing that they're starting to pick up with breaking in on cars on Shodo. And so if you know anyone that stay on Shodo, around the area Shodo, pretty much the 41 and 4200 blocks, you let them know. So please be aware to make sure they're locking up their vehicle and not leaving anything of value inside the cars. But again, this type of activity has been going on, the same shit has to go on majority of times around the weekend, Friday through Sunday night. And it looks like a lot of those victims are the people that are going to the clubs. Cadillac converter thefts are up still, but be mindful of that. And it's just not, the Hondas and the Kias that are out here stealing the Cadillac converters from pretty much any vehicle they can get their hand on or get up under. Just be mindful of that. So the Cadillac converters, car thefts, and, leaving your valuables inside your car. Also, we're still getting these cars that have been stolen or broken into that have firearms in there. We're asking everyone to not leave their guns inside their vehicle. If you have to leave your gun inside your vehicle, we suggest you get a lockbox to lock your gun inside your car. If you get that lockbox, make sure you have it bolted down so that they can't take that box out of your car. We're having quite a few firearms that have been stolen along Manchester just from being inside people's cars. On top of that, not really a whole lot going on. Like I said, it's basically at Manchester, at 41 to 4300 block of Manchester. We had a couple of scattered out in the 43 and 4500 blocks of Manchester, but nothing really as much as what's going on there with 22 and 4100 blocks. But if you guys have any questions, it's been kind of quiet. I haven't received any emails or phone calls about anything going on in the neighborhoods. So again, we just ask you to be vigilant. If you have those flyers on the website, look over those flyers. Just some of those safety tips that we put out there for everyone. Look over those. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. I did send out an info sheet for some of the officers in the district. So if you have any questions for any of the district detectives, maybe the sergeants or lieutenant, I attached their phone number to a spreadsheet, and I sent that out to Dan earlier today, along with some other information, some of the other neighborhood liaison officers in the district. So I'm going to wrap it up. If you have any questions for me, put it in the comments. I'll also put my phone number and my email address in there for you. If you have something you want to ask me personally, I can give you a call tomorrow when I'm in the office. For that, I will sit back and let you guys talk and see if anything comes up in the chat box for me.
Any questions for Officer Walker? Check the chat. Okay, cool. We will move on. Thank you, Officer Walker. We'll move on to ward updates. I'll pass the mic off to Alderman Peel. Yep.
Uh, Good evening, everyone. A few updates regarding the city and the ward. Some of the things that passed that has some significance there was a board bill that was passed in terms of the Charter Commission. The aldermen have approved setting up a Charter Commission of citizens to look at our charter that hasn't been updated in decades. And so that is something in which we wanted to make sure that the citizens' voice was going to be heard. And so it is going to be made up of citizens. There will be more details that can be provided, but I wanted to just tell you about that so that you're aware, and that when it's available that you could apply for that. I also wanted to say that we actually passed a large ARPA bill, and some of the things regarding the expenditure of ARPA money. The Regional Arts Commission received almost $10.6 million. And this is going to be great for them because they lost a lot during the COVID, and this will help them in terms of giving art money to different organizations that were really hurt during COVID and things had to close down. The other thing is that we also passed, in terms of ARPA funding, we passed a guaranteed basic income in terms of giving individuals with low income an income for several months so that they can help in terms of their basic needs. Guaranteed basic income has been a pilot program in several cities around the country, and ours is also a pilot program. And it has shown that it has worked in terms of lifting people to a higher economic class. So that is something that was just recently passed. Also, in terms of ARPA funding, we am going to contribute $13 million to support renters, and also a stabilization fund in terms of affordable housing. And lastly, the ARPA funding, but in particular, is that there's going to be $4 million given for youth services. One of the things that we know is that we need to make sure that our youth have opportunity, and so that they're engaged. And so this will help in terms of funding different programs to keep youth engaged and also to thrive. I know that we're also going to have updates from the Forest Park Southeast Development Committee and also from the Infrastructure Committee. So they'll give updates regarding the ward in particular.
Any questions for the Alderwoman? Yes, we have a question from Cami.
Just curious about how people would apply for the basic income, or what's that process?
Still getting worked out. Okay.
Sorry.
In terms of it was a question about the guaranteed basic income and how people are going to apply. The details have not been worked out, and that's something for the agency that's going to be overseeing that. So there are a lot of details that need to be worked out, and I can get you that when that happens. So thank you, Cami.
Thank you. Any other questions here or in the chat for the Alderwoman? Nope. All right. Thank you so much. Next on the agenda here, we have neighborhood updates. I believe Ron Coleman is on the call, and we will phone in Ron Coleman for this one.
Are you saying I'm phoning it in?
Not at all. No, never.
I do want to talk trash, though.
What's that?
I do want to talk trash.
Oh, pun intended. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a good evening. My name, if you don't know me, is Ron Coleman. I work for the city of St. Louis as your neighborhood liaison through the neighborhood Stabilization Division. And I'm here to smooth things out. I know it's been difficult now with the staffing issues with the various city departments and also the crime, so I'm here to talk to you, hear your concerns, try to smooth things out if there's a service interruption. But we are struggling, but we're making strides to improve issues. So it brings me to my least favorite subject, which is trash, but probably what's on top of most of your minds right now. And I wanted to provide an update. We have the refuse division and the street department. They have different equipment that does different things. They are partnering up now to sweep all the alleys with their equipment at one time, trying to do it on the bulk week, but they're going to be picking up everything from tree branch piles to bulk items and just everything that they normally wouldn't pick up on bulk week. They're going to try to clean it up all at once. So make sure you have everything out in the alley that you want on bulk week, which is this week. But the caveat is they're running behind. So be patient. They will get to it. Also, I received word today that the new dumpsters, if you have a dumpster with a hole in the bottom of it, it's probably already scheduled to be replaced. But those should be to your ward in the next few weeks. So right now they're in 26 and they're going to 28, and then the next ward is 17. So I would think by March you should have dumpster replacements if they're tipped over with no bottoms or such. Also, I have created a flyer that explains the Citizens Good Neighbor Agreement, meaning what the citizen is responsible for regarding trash and weeds and litter and that kind of stuff. I know nobody signed up for this agreement, but it's kind of an unspoken agreement that we all, including myself, have to do. So I have those flyers. I can print those out if any of you would like to distribute them to your block, if you particularly have an alley that's got problems. I can bring you those flyers. It's got my contact info on it, all the ordinance requirements. A lot of people don't realize they're responsible for picking up litter in the alley and the street, the curb. And I know it's frustrating right now with us not getting the dumpsters emptied regularly and overflowing. So it's a little extra work, but I'm here to help you get those flyers out if you need help. So please contact me. I'll put my info in the chat, and I think it's on the agenda maybe too, or the minutes. The other thing is getting a lot of calls about parking district tickets. We don't currently have an administrator for the residential parking districts. So any new tenants that move in don't have a hang tag. So you should not be getting tickets. If you do get a ticket for parking in a residential parking district right now, let me know and I will get that ticket taken care of for you. So that's just temporary until we can get the program back up and running through the treasurer's office. They're getting close to coming up with a plan, and I'll let you guys know as soon as that's rolled out. Also, if you're on the 4400 block of ARCO, you should be getting a petition soon to have that block added as a residential parking district. If you're interested, please sign that petition. We have a resident that's going to be going around getting your signatures. I think that's all I have, and I'm open to questions. Encourage you to look on the city's website for job openings, everything from airport to nurses to mechanics to lawyers and everything is on the city website with salaries included. So feel free to peruse the site and tell any friends that might be wanting to look at a position that has really good benefits and is a satisfying job. So thanks, Dan, for your leadership. And if anyone has any questions, I'll take them here or in the chat.
Yeah, we got a few questions. First, just want to say thank you for all that you do. Second, I will happily take a handful of flyers and plaster them all across my neighborhood, or at least my block.
Okay.
Yep. You can state your name real quick.
Yep. Nate Raymond. Hey, Ron, how's it going?
Hi, Nate. Good to hear
How
from
are you? A couple of questions up. First, with respect to trash, I've noticed that the few small receptacles that are located on sidewalk areas often fill up completely between trash pickup. And I'm wondering what we could do to have a few more added if it's not an additional burden to the trash department, and to strategically place them by some of the businesses. That's oftentimes where the trash comes from, on weekends especially. So that's, I guess, my first question, if that can be looked at, if it's possible, if we have award money for that. The second question is with respect to parking. Once it is figured out, what is the plan for actually enforcing it? Even when it was with Park Central, it seemed like enforcement was very sparse. And the whole point of having the tags is to ensure that people that live in these areas have a place to park when they're, back from work. Is there any plan that the Treasury Department is looking into that will increase enforcement?
Yeah, sure. On the last question, the parking enforcement is available from, I think it's, early in the morning until 10 p.m. at night to go write tickets in those districts. And you can call the number, I'll put it in the chat, if you have a particular problem that's recurring. They're probably not going to come out for a one-off situation, but they do like to know where the problems are. So they do have officers patrolling on a regular basis, including the Grove Business District. So yeah, that they should be out there, but they're limited too, and they are going to go to the high priority areas. And as these districts grow throughout the city, there's more territory to cover. But regarding the litter barrels, the city itself is not adding any more capacity because they can barely empty the barrels that we have. Now, those are the ones in the residential districts that you'll see around, like on Taylor and Choteau. Those are already on the route. If they're not getting emptied every Tuesday, Friday, I think it should be, then you can enter a service request through the Citizen Service Bureau, or you can contact me and we'll get somebody out to empty it. The ones on Manchester are funded by the Grove Community Improvement District. So they're always open to looking for more locations. If you want to pass those on to me, I can get them to the CID. There are a couple that were hit by vehicles that have been ordered to be replaced. I think one in front of 4400 Manchester and one further down by, possibly down by the Trops. So those are two I know of that will be added back, but if you have others, Nate, send me those and I'll pass them on.
Hey, Ron, I'm Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
Following up on the small receptacle piece, I think I can speak more specifically on the other side of the neighborhood, not Manchester, the Choteau Taylor ones you were describing. I don't think that they are being emptied. I think twice a week is what you mentioned. I'm specifically observing dog waste being very, very meticulously cleaned up by our residents and our neighbors, but then they sort of pile up in those receptacles. So it's almost like a good thing and a bad thing, right? The full trash can.
Right.
But it's a great thing that all of our neighbors have established this really rigorous courtesy to clean up. So just want to make sure we don't start deterring residents from sort of doing the right thing there. I'm thinking specifically of one on Taylor and Gibson, I think there that I see a lot, and then really along Shoto Park. Again, sort of the dog walking paths perhaps, but that's my sort of observation, again, just sort of building off the previous comment.
Okay, I will drive that area and check it out and get that taken care of. I did get complaints for the exact same thing in the Central West End this week, so it could be a route staffing issue, but it's still no excuse. I'll take care of it.
And then I think there was a question in the chat here from Lisa regarding the residential parking permits. Is parking allowed in alleys? Not on parking pads, just on side of alley.
Never in the public right of way in the alley. So if you have a fence that's set back pretty far from the alley, then you can park, you can park there on your own property if it's in the alley. Well, it can't be on the grass, but if it's a solid surface, you can certainly park in the alley on your own property. But no, not in the alley. It's not a tow area, but so you'll get a $40 ticket or whatever it is. So try not to do that. And you can call parking enforcement and they'll come out to ticket. Don't bother the police for stuff like that unless they're really blocking the alley. Anytime you're loading and unloading, you're supposed to have a permit to block the alley. So even utility companies, anybody that's out there is supposed to have a permit to work in the alley. Now, we all know if somebody's telephone or internet gets knocked out, the charter truck or the AT&T truck is going to be out there for a half hour so hopefully we can be understanding in that regard. But if it's a contractor working on a house, they have to have a blocking permit.
Cool. Any other questions here for Mr. Ron Coleman? Everyone's shouting, thank you, thank you. It's so loud here, I can't even hear myself speak. But truly, thank you for all that you do. I know that it takes a lot and trash does take up a lot of your time. Hopefully that all gets sorted out soon and you can focus on other.
Soon we can move to planting trees and beautification. Yes, and parties.
Exactly.
Block parties. Plan your block party. Start planning it now.
That's part of what we'll be discussing here today. Cool.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. Good night.
Thank you so much, Ron. All right. We're gonna jump over into the treasurer's report. Cami, would you like to do this? Walk us through those numbers.
Don't have them memorized. All right, for November and December, we got $120 in dues, which is very exciting. Thanks for joining. And that was about it. Just paid $14.99 for November and December for our use of Zoom to have these awesome hybrid meetings. And so we have a total of $2,192.85 in the bank right now. And if you want to join, you can, we have a sliding scale membership, pay what you can, because we want this to be open to everyone who wants to be a part of it. You can pay via Cash App or cash or check. You can send an email to forestparksoutheast@gmail.com. And that's it. You get voting privileges if you're a member.
Yes, and a lot of the cash that we have in our bank account goes towards planning events. National Night Out is normally our biggest expense. whether that is the food trucks or any other activities that we have going on there. We do try to give this money back to hosting events in which we can draw out the community and, have a good time and get to know one another. It is the beginning of the year, which means that all dues start over, which means even myself, I need to pay my dues. I think we all do. So it's a good time right now to pay your dues. Dues are $10. Pay what you can. $10 is just a suggestion. Moving on to some community updates and news. Unfortunately, our guest speaker could not make it tonight because I don't think the email reached him. But we have a contact who has a way to contact Mr. Andrew, so we can get him at a future speaking event. Moving on. Quickly talking about the infrastructure committee and the development committee and their updates. So if you're not familiar with the infrastructure committee, there's a couple members here tonight. They deal with a lot of streets and the street lawns and beautifying the infrastructure around our neighborhood, trash cans, benches, those types of things. They meet the fourth Tuesday of each month at 5:30 p.m. Their next meeting is on January 24th at Remedy Church. The address of that is 4372 Vista. Some things that they've been discussing lately, they've had some walkthroughs of the neighborhood to determine sidewalks, streets, alleys that need some work. And then they are working on a survey to get feedback about Shoto Park. Super interesting, guys. Cannot wait to learn more about that. If you have any questions for the infrastructure committee, their contact information is below. It is fpseinfrastructure@gmail.com. Development. I will walk through some bigger developments that happened over the course of the last month and a half. We do have a development review committee within our neighborhood. They are the development review committee of Forest Park Southeast. They meet on the fourth Tuesday of each month as well at 7 o'clock. Their next meeting is also January 24th at Remedy Church, same address. And if you would like to get in contact with the Development Review Committee, if you have any questions about who's on it or what they do or any upcoming developments, you can contact them at fpsedevelopmentreview@gmail.com. Any questions on how to contact our friends over in these committees? Cool. Recapping some events that happened regarding developments over the last couple of months. One is the later December meeting at the Preservation Board. They reviewed a project at 4534 to 4556 Manchester. They were reviewing whether or not to demo a few buildings, a handful of buildings for a mixed use project, a 4-story building, retail at the bottom, residential on top, 2 to 4 first floor retail spaces, 71 units, 50 parking spaces, including a surface parking spot at 4531 Swan with no tax incentives. The preservation approved the demo of these buildings. Next, it will go to, I think it's adjustment and zoning for approval on that. If you have any questions, you're happy to reach out to myself, the Development Review Committee, or even the Preservation Board. They will have minutes up probably over the next couple of weeks before the next meeting. Another project that went before the Preservation Board in early December was the Kings Highway buildings, 1070 to 1094 Kings Highway. You might remember these as the former Drury buildings. They were recently purchased by Lux Living, and the Preservation Board denied demo of these buildings. They noted that the buildings were sound under the definition in the ordinance. Lux Living had revised plans, changed at the very last minute with vehicle access from the front of Kings Highway to the rear of the alley. The last time they presented to the neighborhood, they had a concept in which the entrance and exit would be off of Kings Highway. And before this project went to preservation, they changed it and put it on the rear of the alley. And then preservation also noted that the scale and the style of the new building was incompatible with its surroundings. There was also a lot of non-support, a lot of opposition to the building as well, mostly the developer and the business practices. Several people from the neighborhood spoke up, and there were people from outside the neighborhood that made comments as well. But the preservation board ended up denying that demo. Again, if you have any questions, minutes are posted on the preservation board website. You can also reach out to the development review committee if you have any questions regarding the development itself. Some fun stuff, some new businesses in the neighborhood. The Vandy, which is a cocktail and bourbon bar, opened quite literally today at 4 p.m. They are located at 1301 South Vandeventer. They had some soft openings over the past couple of weeks, and it looks like a hoot. So if you're in the neighborhood, which you all are, definitely recommend checking them out. And then Green Earth Art Company opened maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. They're located at 4475 Shoto, right there at the corner of Shoto and Taylor, across from Songbird. And they sell hand decorative art in cement and concrete. Very interesting place to peruse if you haven't been. Cool. All right, 2023 events. So these are just some events that the board has either A, put on in the past, and B, kind of wants to do again. We've had a lot of success with our neighborhood cleanups. We pick a different part of the neighborhood every time and end up literally picking up 6-7 bags of giant bags of trash. I don't know where it all comes from, just magically appears there somehow. And this year we're doing it every 4th Saturday of each month, starting at 10 a.m. Definitely come out if you can. It's always a good way to meet new community members. Somehow we always get lucky with weather and it's nice. And at the end of the day, you physically see the rewards of picking up all this trash. It's always a good feeling. We also are planning again to have a neighborhood night out. We'll probably have a new name. We're going to rebrand it a little bit, have a little bit more fun. We are thinking of having it at a new location. Typically we have it at Shoto Park. This year we're thinking of bringing it down south to Adams Park. We'll plan to have, like in the years past, we've had a free food truck, some free beer from Urban Chestnut, games. We'll invite a handful of local organizations, music, and whatever else we can think of. We're always looking for input and definitely looking for help, whether that is monetarily or whether that is physically or emotionally. We could always use the emotional support too. Just cheer us on, that helps. That is planned for September 9th, which is the 2nd Saturday in September. And then as Ron had mentioned on the call, flower planting and tree planting. We talk a lot about trash, but we should focus on flowers and trees. Flower planting, we're targeting spring and fall. Spring, we can plant some annuals. Last year we planted annuals in the, what are they, the shovel pots on Oakland and Newstead. They were thriving over the summer. It looked quite nice. And then in the fall, planting some daffodils. We had a lot of daffodils planted at Shoto Park, right? I think we just had 2 hands doing that. Was that just you? Oh, yeah. Oh, good. I'm sorry I missed that. I can't wait to see those bloom in the spring, and they look really cool. And then tree planting. we have planted some trees. I say we. I believe Cami has planted a lot of trees in in Shota Park. One was a course with Forest Relief, and in a tree planter project. I probably butchered that name. And then another time they had some leftover trees or trees that weren't planted. So we planted. What was the total number of trees planted in Shota Park this fall? So there were 15 trees planted in Shota Park along the sidewalks and strategically placed to provide the most shade and coverage given the tree type and the location in the park. This year, we're kind of looking to work with a few different groups. We've been in contact with the city planning, urban planning agency, butchered that as well, and the GIS folks to help update the tree database. So the city has this wonderful database of where all the city trees are planted throughout the city on street lawns and other public ways. And they need help identifying what trees are dead, what type of trees, where trees can be planted, what types of trees are planted where. And so we've been working with them to identify opportunities where new street lawn trees can be planted. Once we do that, we'll work with Forest Relief to identify what street lawn trees are available and plant in the fall. This is a great opportunity to make a major difference for decades in the neighborhood with some awesome trees, some great street calming effects, cool the climate and beautify it at the same time. We'll definitely work on getting information out as it comes available, but keep your fall open. Don't plant anything in fall, nothing in fall. You're only gonna plant trees in fall, okay, guys? Great. Lastly, we could always host more events, block parties, and otherwise. If you'd like to join and help coordinate dates for tree planting, think of ideas, hang flyers. We're always looking for the help. Just reach out to myself or shoot an email, and we will kindly accept your kindness and support. Also, just thinking of speakers. So for February, we were thinking about having an alderperson candidate forum. We have Michael Browning, a candidate. We have Tina Peel and Mike Gross, all confirmed to partake in a forum next month before the March voting period. We are also looking for questions to ask them. So if you have any questions that are on the top of your mind on how we can, concerns you have around the city, thoughts on whether that's the education system or how to make streets safer or renters' rights, etc. Please submit your questions to us. Again, email, you can say it to me verbally, we'll write them down. And before we send out the next agenda before February, we will send out this list of questions to the candidates for them to come prepared with, and hope to include some of your questions. Two other speakers that we hope to have this year. One is Andrew, who is unable to make it again tonight because of probably a bad email we sent. That's okay. Andrew is the executive director of the Landmarks Association of St. Louis. Hoping to hear him talk about historic preservation, landmarks, etc. And then Michael Allen, who is on a similar path as Andrew. Michael is a building landscape and an urban historian. He's a professor at WashU. He's an author, and he's also on the City of St. Louis Preservation Board. Somebody who advocates for preservation and in similar regards. So an interesting guy, as is Andrew. Hoping to have them this year. But if there are, next slide, other speakers you would like to hear from, definitely shoot us a note. We're always looking for the opportunity to have new and interesting folks come in and present on topics that concern the neighborhood. Okay. Ooh, I am talking a lot. It is almost 7:30. And I think this next topic here is something that I encourage you all to get involved with, which is Future 64. Future 64 in a nutshell is what has been a 13-month study looking at potential infrastructure changes within the I-64 corridor between Kings Highway to our west, Jefferson to the east, Forest Park Parkway to the north, and Manchester Shoto Park to the south. It largely focuses on the highway, but also the arteries and the interchange and the roads surrounding I-64. This study is put on by MoDOT in conjunction with the Federal Highway Administration and its community partners. Tomorrow, Wednesday, January 18th, starting at 4 p.m., they will have a open house style public meeting to share and discuss 3 corridor change concepts. I will share 3 things that they've drafted with us that, again, I will emphasize are drafts. They're not final, but they're 3 things that they presented prior to this meeting to kind of get your wheels spinning on the changes that may occur over the next couple of years, or what they're presenting on Wednesday. So in their study, they had several findings, and their findings influenced or should be influencing their 3 concepts on how they will change the I-64 corridor there. So one finding was the study area, which is again Kings Highway, Forest Park, Parkway, Manchester, Jefferson, shows an elevated need for equitable transportation investments. So think people without cars, how can people walk around? If you're ADA, how can you get around easily without being, having to hope that there's an ADA ramp or across a 6, 7, 8 lane intersection. They found that I-64 can be a barrier for north-south travel within the study area. So as you can imagine, probably getting east to west on 64 is easy, but going north to south with a limited number of bridges or the equally wide roads like Jefferson and Kings Highway makes it a little bit difficult to go north and south. Safety is an issue for users of the corridor. I-64 and most of the local streets have crash rates above the statewide average for similar roadways. They found that several bridges need repair and some may not meet demands. Many of the interchanges are confusing and cause multiple decision points in short distances. This can be specifically pointed at Forest Park Parkway, Market, Jefferson, I-64, Grand, in that area where you have all these on-ramps and off-ramps and you don't know where to turn. And then finally, they found that sidewalks for pedestrians and bicycle facilities could be improved for a more accessible and comfortable user experience. So the next 3 slides here, and I'll try to give you time to look at them pretty thoroughly if I can, are 3 different alternatives for the west portion of this corridor and the east portion of the corridor. For our sake in our neighborhood, I'll focus on the west portion, which is mostly Boyle and I-64 and the north and south area of that. So alternative 1, here is one alternative that they are looking at. So starting up top here, they are proposing to widen the lanes of Clayton. Actually, I'll probably start at the highway. That makes most sense. So at the highway here, ooh, there's so much to explain, but I'll let you look at it. They are, in this alternative, they're looking to widen Boyle to 4 lanes, increase the west on ramp from off of Boyle to 2 lanes, the off ramp to Boyle to 3 lanes, and extend the lane of the off-ramp quite far onto 64. In addition, they're looking at widening the existing shoulders, lengthening the acceleration lane when going on to eastbound 64 from Papin. They are looking at providing connections to existing and planned trail infrastructure. So this green line here would be a bike path. And then Tower Grove would be a bridge for crossing, would include a shared use path that is currently not there. Whew. I'll go to number 2. There's just a lot to take in. Oof. What's happening? There we go. Very, very similar here. Up north, you have Boyle and Clayton being extended to what looks like 6 lanes, 3 lanes in both directions. You have the off-ramp or the on-ramp to 64 westbound at 2 lanes, 3 lanes for the off-ramp, extended lane over here. The biggest change I would say is removing the Papin eastbound on-ramp to 64 and moving that over to Boyle. So you'd have the demolition of this building and you would provide the on-ramp over to 64 there. And then, nope, they keep that on-ramp there. And then they would widen some lanes or some shoulders. Continue with the new bridge crossing for a shared use path. I think that's all on that one. And then the third alternative here is is a lot to take in. Similarities include the widening of Clayton and Boyle up here to 6 lanes. But the interstate itself, you have from, oh gosh, yeah, 3 lanes here for the off-ramp to Tower Grove. And then you have an outer road at 4 lanes connecting from Tower Grove to Boyle over here. Papin becomes a dead-end street at Boyle. Tower Grove becomes a dedicated bike use facility that is no longer accessible to cars, but is dedicated to bikes. Again, they remove Papin from the eastbound on-ramp and move that over to Boyle with a 2-lane on-ramp that converts into 1. 2 lanes going down to what looks like what was the previous Vanaventer off-ramp, and then an on-ramp onto eastbound 64. And then on Sarah here, not from Sarah, from Vanaventer, they have a new on-ramp onto 64 from Vanaventer, and then the westbound 64 on-ramp from Vanaventer shifts from the left lane that it's currently at to over in the right lane. So what happens here is that you have an off-ramp or an on-ramp westbound with 2 lanes here with 1 lane there, and then it converges into the 3 lanes on the highway. That's a lot, and it's hard to digest in all of 6 minutes, which is why I encourage you to attend tomorrow's meeting at Cortex. Let me throw that back up here so you have it. This is the meeting info. Meeting is tomorrow at 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Cortex Collab Workspace. It is the 3rd floor of this building, located at 4220 Duncan Avenue. I encourage you to go in there with the mindset of thinking of how to make streets safer for everybody, not just easier for cars to get around, but for people like you and me, for bicyclists to get around. Wide roads are not the solution. Induced demand is not the solution. Encouraging more people to travel by car isn't the solution. And I think if we can make our neighborhood more walkable, it'll be more enjoyable. Again, meeting info right here. Does anyone have any questions over this? I'm not the MoDOT engineer who designed this or their partner agencies, but they did over the past year have several different steering committees, a technical committee, a community committee, and I believe a city official committee that helped inform them on a series of changes that led to these alternatives today. I personally think we can do better. I think we can be more walkable. I think we can encourage less car use and put money into our public transportation. But that's just my opinion. If you don't have any questions over that, ask them tomorrow, please. Lastly, Future 64 meeting is tomorrow. Next infrastructure committee is January 24th at 5:30. Following that, it's development committee at 7 p.m. And then our next meeting will be February 17th at 6:45 here and on Zoom. We will have the three new 9th alderperson candidates speak at a forum. If you have any questions you would like for them to answer, please send them to us. The board will also draft some and send them out before the meeting. All right. Yeah. How are we feeling, guys? Good? You feeling good? Everyone's awake? Awesome. Kalina, I will take your speaker suggestions and write them down. She suggested to invite MSD, talk about laterals, cave-ins, and urban flooding. I think that's great. There's a lot of that. Cool. With that, motion to adjourn. Seconded, thirded. If you couldn't hear her, Sarah mentioned that the 4 to 7 is a drop in time and that 64 should not remain a barrier. And it's very important. It's very important that you attend. And on that, good night. Yes. No, one more question? Or yeah, here.
Question about the dog park and the neighborhood's connection, if any, to it, and what's kind of going on with it. If we know it, I think it's temporarily closed.
The Shadow Dog Park?
Yes.
The question was about Shadow Dog Park. I believe Shadow Dog Park there used to be a Forest Park Southeast Dog Park Committee. I believe that administration was transferred over to Park Central, correct? Sorry, I feel like you know the answer to this one.
I'm Mark. I was involved in that and kind of implementing it a long time ago. And out of like the 12 neighbors that were part of it, I'm the only one left. And so the administration of the dog park was handed over to Park Central. But as far as like the nonprofit and neighborhoods that were controlling it, that's pretty much gone defunct. And I'm sure, and as far as what Park Central's involvement is now and if they're accepting applications or anything like that, I am completely unaware. So I think it's kind of there for the taking, if neighborhoods want to get involved and start that conversation to either start another nonprofit or just help administer it, or possibly make it just kind of an open, non-membership dog park. Because when it was created, it was a membership-based dog park to control vaccinations and rabies shots and things like that. So I think it's essentially a conversation that can be continued with anyone who is interested right now.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, hate mail, love mail? What's that?
We already have 2 paying members for 2023. This is very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just a thank you for the for Ron and for the alderman and for the neighborhood association. We moved into the Vista Avenue last year in April. Our front road and the back alley was just terrible, and we finally got it paved toward the end of last year. It's great, and I just wanted to say thank you all for helping us to make that happen. Yeah.
Thanks for getting it organized.
Yeah.
Happy to help. Anybody else with some love mail? I love that. That was so nice. Or hate mail. Okay. Cool. We will end the meeting on a high note right there. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
See you in February.
Sounds good, Phil. Peace.